Hello again, Paul Hardt here from Capella University's Training and Performance Improvement Specialization and the Wisconsin Association of School Boards Governance Consulting area. I'm going to be continuing a short series that I started a few weeks ago in these video blogs on strategic planning for schools. As I mentioned a few weeks ago, this has become quite a hot topic for a number of the school districts that we're working with the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. And I started with a brief presentation a few weeks ago on some of the basics of different processes for strategic planning. And now today I'd like to talk about a process that I was not able to go into too much depth on a few weeks ago when I laid out the many different models for strategic planning. But I've become quite excited about this particular approach, and I wanted to share it with you especially today. I can't, due to limitations of time and computer space, I won't be able to go into a real depth explanation of this process. But I want to pique your curiosity about it, and I want to encourage you to purchase this book that these ideas are based on. The book is Brian Fidler's book, Strategic Planning for School Improvement. Now, Dr. Fidler his main experience is in the British schools, but he tackles this quite head on early in the book by talking about some of the universal elements of strategic planning that would apply whether the school was in an inner city in the United Kingdom, or a school in Canada, or a school in suburban Minnesota, for instance. So he does a very good job of establishing what those universal links are. So don't be put off by the fact that Dr. Fidler's background is in the United Kingdom. He has some excellent ideas here, I can assure you from my perspective, that would apply regardless of where the school or school district was that these ideas were being applied to. I'm just going to go through a few of the basic principles, but Dr. Fidler does just an excellent job of talking about some of the important concepts of strategic planning as far as schools are concerned. Based on the definition of strategy used by Johnson and Scholes, we should take the distinguishing features of the strategic plan to involve, and then he says it's 1, the long term, 2, the future of the whole school in an integrated way, 3, taking account of future trends in the world outside of the school and the school district, and 4, taking account of its present and likely future resources. And then he goes on to talk about some of the advantages of a systematic approach to strategic planning for schools and school districts. Some of those advantages of the systematic approach include important factors are less likely to be neglected. Information and reactions can come from a wider group. Others in the organization develop a whole organization view. The opportunities and constraints are known to everyone, and others can propose developments which take advantage of opportunities. Other decisions can be made in the knowledge of the strategy. Implicit strategy can be tested and improved by the constructive criticism of others, and finally, strategic decisions can be more easily recognized. So for those of you who may have some skepticism about using a fairly rigorous strategic planning approach in schools, Dr. Fidler points out some very, very good advantages to using the strategic planning approach in a very systematic way. Dr. Fidler presents a flow chart of a general plan for strategic planning, and I'm going to try to post a version of that flowchart on my blog, so that you'll have both this video blog entry as well as the process, the general process that he suggests. But he makes a very interesting point here, once again, about the whole issue of the difference between long range planning and strategic planning. Now, that was a point that I brought up in my presentation from a couple of weeks ago, and I said that there were some basic differences between the two. I refer you back to that presentation. But one of the points that Dr. Fidler makes that I think is really, really interesting is the emphasis on the idea of strategic thinking. And excuse me, in fact, he says that between the two terms strategic and planning, the emphasis should be on strategic, not on planning. Because the idea of being strategic is that we're open to many different opportunities that may come our way based on what's going on in the environment. If we get too caught up in our planning, we may have an excellent, very logical, very rational plan, but it may handcuff us, it may hogtie us so that we're prevented from addressing and taking advantage of some of those surprise circumstances, some of those unplanned for opportunities that may come up in the environment. So he feels, and other experts in the area of strategic planning feel, that the emphasis really should be on strategy and strategic thinking as opposed to the planning part. And I think that's a great point of view. Now, naturally, there needs to be a balance between the two. So I don't think that Dr. Fidler is saying that it's either or, that we're either strategic or we're planful. I think that you need to have a plan as a basic foundation to work from and to keep you going in the right general direction. But I think he makes an excellent point there in terms of one cannot be too hung up on the plan, and one must be, and good strategic thinking school districts need to be ready to address opportunities as they come along in the form of, for instance, new sources of funding, new curricula that might be offered, new possible opportunities for teacher and staff relationships, new technology that may come along. I mean, there are many, many different kinds of opportunities that may come our way, and that we don't want to neglect if we're just too tied into our plan. So those are just a few of the really interesting ideas that are presented by Brian Fidler in this book, Strategic Planning for School Improvement. I'm going to say a little bit more about some of the other ideas that he writes about in his book in some future blog entries. I hope you find them interesting. As I said, I will try to post a visual that shows the general process that he talks about, and perhaps some of the other processes that he talks about in the book. And I'll be coming back and making comments about those as well. So thanks very much for listening, and I look forward to presenting some more information to you in about a week. Bye now.